Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. And here we're gonna discuss the last two basic commands for the for the AutoCAD environment. Was that hmm, was that a trick? I don't think so. Anyway, so it's gonna be configurators. Basically, how we will manipulate the screen so it looks how you want it to, because that's important. Personalization within your tools is essential for you to be uh, inspired to do work. But if you customize too much, the problem with that is if you move to another computer and try out their software there, uh, you might have a problem if you're gonna be so used to your shortcuts. But we're not gonna talk about those here. Uh, AutoCAD is incredibly simple, and let's go to the classroom and check out these two commands that will round up all our basic AutoCAD uh, commands. So all 75 of them tonight. All right, so we're here in the classroom. We have got our timer, and let's begin. So we have two configurations to talk about. We have settings and then options. Settings, let me just pull up my, as you can see, we don't have our uh, command line here. So I hid it. I normally hide it. So control 9 makes it appear or disappear. Control 9. You can see that, right? I'm pressing it. Yeah. So, uh, so with that back, let's go to settings first because this is the less uh, extensive of the two. So here we see drafting settings, which is important because that's what you're doing here in AutoCAD, basically. So we have a bunch of tabs where you can move about. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tabs. So let's go through them one by one. We've been here before when we were adjusting object snap, but let's go to snap and grid. So these are toggles. Basically, you can see that there's a check mark and you can trigger them with function keys. That's why when using CAD, it's important that your keyboard has function keys. That's when I was looking for a mobile setup, I was specifically looking for a keyboard, uh, mobile keyboard with function keys. So Android or iOS themed keyboards don't really work because we don't have function keys to work with. So we have snap on and grid on, which is, this is snap to grid basically. F9, let's try that out. So let's cancel out of this and sit on. Oh, I turned it off. Okay, so this is with snap on. You can see that my mouse over here is moving really smoothly, but the our cursor is not because it's snapping to the grid, and you can see the grid behind us. And we can turn that on and off by F7, but it's still snapping because that's just how snap to grid works. All right, let's go back to the settings and find out what more can we do here. Snap spacing 10 units. So you can change that if you wanted to use that. But normally, I tell my students to just keep this off. You don't really need it. For spacing, grid snap, isometric snap, polar snap. So all of these you can just toggle if you need it. And then here we have, this one is a bit new. This was not on older versions of CAD. Follow dynamic UCS. The UCS is this thing right here. This thing. The one over there. Yes, that one. This thing. UCS is the user coordinate system. And you can move this around, because when you move it around, your zero, the origin, actually moves with you. So for example, you wanted to do like a new rectangle somewhere, you can, with dynamic UCS on, your zero is where you first land your point. But it says here grid behavior, so it might be different. Let's see. Let's turn that on, turn on the grid, and then check out how that works. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So is that it? When we move away, it follows us? I don't think that's it. I mean, it only indicates uh, that there is an XY somewhere. If we go down, it's still there. I don't think that's it, but we don't really need to know right now. It doesn't matter to us. Uh, Grid style, grid spacing, and grid behavior. So all of these control the grid, which I often want off, so it doesn't really apply. Now, we have polar tracking. When it's on, you have increment angles here. This you can also change over here below. Where's polar? This is polar. Oh, here it is. So polar tracking settings, you can modify it there or here, and also apply additional angles if you needed those. We also have snaps here, which you can just clear all if you don't want it to be meddling with you. This is the most meddlesome of all because it's nearest. So basically, whenever there's an entity and your cursor is near it, uh, it tries to, it assumes that you want to connect to that entity. So perpendicular is important, extensions, not so much. Intersections, quadrants, nodes, those are all important. Center, midpoint, and endpoint. So yeah, most of these ones that have checks now are the ones that I normally use. So these are the ones that you will probably also use. Snap tracking and snap on, F3 and F11. Object snap tracking. Oh, this is quite important, so you should keep it on. Object snap tracking is, for example, since it's on, if for example we have a rectangle and we're gonna try to do a, what do you call this? A line that is aligned to the center point here. So if we do that, this is snap tracking, if I'm not mistaken. So let's try and turn that off by pressing F11 and try that again. So, yep, without snap tracking, it doesn't follow our snap. So it's not smart that way, but with it on, we can do that. And we can do that for multiple points. See? Cool, right? All right, let's go back to the settings. Snap tracking object snap, 3D object snap, because there is also 3D within AutoCAD. And I actually really like this area of CAD Um, I would not say I'm an expert, but you know, I for a time before, I believed I could create models faster here than even SketchUp for a time. I'm not sure right now, uh, but maybe still. We shall see. So three object snap on F4, and it's pretty much like the other one. Dynamic input. Okay. This is these numbers here. And when you first start CAD, these are all on. It's off in mine because somehow uh, it saves a param. So that's why I turned turn these off. I don't really like it being on. Dynamic input is, it can be actually found here. Here it is, dynamic input. So with dynamic input on, like uh, here, let's turn it on. When you try to do something, uh, it AutoCAD gives you tools to actually identify, okay, I want a 45-degree angle, this is about it, and I want it to be like 350 units away. So easy, right? But is it actually 45? It might be, probably is, but exactly 45, I can't tell you right now if it is. We can check with the angular dimension. So it says 45. Yep, it is 45. So I think it works good that way. There's no increment or anything. It's not a lock, but you know, it can make you faster. So oh, we're almost out of time. Let's go back to settings, dynamic input. So I normally turn that off. Quick properties. Yeah, this one is a bit of a pain. So I keep this off also. Quick properties works with all entities. And with this on, when you hover over something, you see this box that basically manifests itself everywhere. And it's a little bit hurtful to the memory if you're not using a lot. It's gonna be taxing on it. So I keep that off also. So we'll just go through the last one, which is selection cycling. This is important if your drawings are on top of each other and you want to select what's underneath without pushing the the entities around, because these entities are all actually piling up one another. If you, for example, draw 10 lines in the same spot, it won't show you that there's 10 lines here, but there will be. And each of them are in a theoretical Z position. So with selection cycling on, I imagine, because I don't use this, that you can just select one and then move to the next by clicking on it, clicking on it, clicking on it. But here, you just hit the very first one. Oh, there's no more there. So let's put them all back together and check out if we can cycle through it. So we're gonna end with this anyway. So let's just try it out. All right, go back to settings and turn that on. Display selection cycling list box, cursor dependent, static, show type of bar. Okay, let's try it in. Oh, there it is. See. So it allows us to choose which polyline, and since we don't know, just select one anyway, and we'll have selected number 3 polyline of this 6 or 5. So that you see that icon there that appears right near the cursor, that means there are multiple items here, and if you select and that is on, you get this list. Okay, so those are pretty helpful uh, drafting material, drafting settings rather. And I had pegged this to be the last one, but it apparently takes 12 minutes to go through just a single uh, flyout menu. So I will see you guys on the next episode where we will talk about the actual final configuration command, which is options. All right, see you guys again. Take care.